I've observed organizations where everyone appears to actively take ownership of business results and their relationships with customers or constituents. Conversely, I've seen places where a constant blame game seems to be the norm. Or workplaces where people eagerly take the initiative to collaborate across departments and even countries. And then there are other organizations where an us versus them mentality prevails with significant infighting. Or some organizations that seem to truly encourage their employees to present their boldest ideas and voice critical concerns, whereas others have an atmosphere where employees have learned that it's safer to remain silent because they fear negative consequences. Culture is how our group thinks, relates, and works to achieve success based on shared beliefs and assumptions. Seth Godin defines it as people like us do things like this. Through our extensive experience supporting numerous organizations in driving culture change and through in-depth conversations with many top executives and leading researchers in management and culture, we've discovered that while senior leaders are often rightly laser focused on improving financial performance, being attractive to external stakeholders, and mitigating reputational risk, we too often fail to give enough attention to the vital health of our culture, even though that oversight can have severe consequences. Let's look at a few statistics. Disengagement cost companies around the world $8.8 trillion in lost productivity in 2023. A 2019 study revealed that 1 in 5 Americans left a job in their last 5 years because of bad culture, costing companies an estimated $223 billion. Cultural challenges are a key reason mergers and acquisitions fail. And looking at global studies on the significance of stakeholder trust for great business or organizational results, we understand that while being competent is a key element of trust, being seen as ethical, which Professor Sandra Sucher, a renowned trust researcher at Harvard, defines as having the right motives, authentically caring about doing right by others, using fair means to achieve our goals, and taking full responsibility for all the impact of our action is even more vital. To summarize, culture has an incredible impact on our ability to deliver on our mission and strategy, build a thriving workplace, and have a responsible impact that will determine trust with key stakeholders. And yet, many leaders find culture difficult to understand and very hard to change. I'll now quickly go through 4 insights into culture that can help you truly be able to influence it effectively. Number 1, culture is formed to cope with uncertainty. Picture going to a new country or a new city, or perhaps a party at your spouse's or friend's workplace. As you enter the new social situation, you will be looking for cues to understand the norms and behavioral patterns. How do people enter the room? How do they greet each other? How do they eat? Are there rituals you need to be aware of? As people join a new organization, they will in the same way look for cues to understand what will make them successful and avoid embarrassing themselves in that environment. This way of coping with uncertainty will come to define our culture. And when people join your organization, they will quickly get the message that this is how things are really done around here. Number 2, culture is shaped by signals. Culture is shaped by signals of what is prioritized, encouraged and rewarded, overlooked or tolerated within a team or organization. And while everyone plays a part, leadership has a significant impact on these signals. We might, for example, claim that we value collaboration, but then have incentive systems that only reward individual performance, and we choose to turn a blind eye to high performers who refuse to collaborate, which clearly communicates that collaboration isn't at all really that important. Number 3, the values we claim might not be our enacted values. Every culture holds different assumptions and beliefs about what should be prioritized and what leads to success. However, as I pointed out earlier, we should not assume that our actual cultural values are aligned with the values we would like to claim publicly. A great example is the many companies who would claim that they value integrity, ethics, quality, and respect, and yet end up in misconduct and even scandals. A tragic example is Boeing, who put a cultural pressure on cost and speed, but down-prioritized their quality and safety culture, leading to the loss of hundreds of people's lives in 2 tragic plane crashes. Number 4, culture is not a project. Projects have an allure to them. They make topics such as culture seem a bit less fussy. We can set a clear time frame, identify a list of activities, and then measure whether we have accomplished them. It gives us the impression that we are making progress and allows us to believe that we can tick culture off the list and move on to the next item on the agenda. However, these should never be our goals. Culture is always evolving, and it constantly needs our attention and intentional effort. In our work and in writing You Can Culture, a book on how to overcome our greatest cultural challenges and sustain the health of our culture, I had a significant discovery. That just like our physical health, to change the health of our culture, we must change our habits. And while it doesn't end with leadership, it must begin here. The thing is that culture is not necessarily complex, but it can be hard, because it will challenge our comfort and force us to take a look in the mirror. Instead of trying to delegate all responsibility to HR or ethics and compliance, we need as leaders to take ownership of our culture. But the beauty is that by identifying our role, assessing the true health of our culture, focusing on a few areas of improvement, and beginning to make small changes to what we repeatedly do and the signals we send, we can change culture and sustain cultural health. Our team, our organizations, and our world will be better because of it.